So how do we become conscious or aware or awake? We must connect to the self, not just the mind, not just the soul, but all three at one time. This is what we call embodiment. Now, to do this, we utilize and connect to our three brains. That is our gut brain, our heart brain, and our mind brain. And we move from our gut to our heart to our mind. This is how we sense and feel and perceive through embodiment. We call it intuition, we call it gut instinct, deep wisdom, or like a knowing. And when we connect to our deep wisdom, this is where the miraculous happens. It happens beyond logic. And our gut feelings can override logic. And if we go with it, it can give us the most profound and amazing outcomes in our lives. We have the right to be living from our intuition because that's what we're made of. The question is, do we have the courage and the faith to do that? When we let our mind run the show, we tend to take the journey from our head to our heart. And this is where we can find ourselves rationalizing and convincing. However, the gut supports our heart and our heart supports the mind. Information rises up from the gut and up from your heart, through your heart, and then supports the mind through thoughts, through impressions. Your thoughts and your impressions is how we're supposed to be living. We feel it, we come into the heart, and then we create action. You see, there are 11 bits of information bombarding your system every millisecond. And they don't land in your heart and they don't land in your head, but they land in your gut through tiny little antennas on every surface of every cell in your body. And they literally culminate in your gut. And the brain in your gut is constantly translating that information into impressions and nuances and gut feelings, that sense that if I were a betting woman, I think we should do that. I don't know how I know. I just know. And that information comes up into our heart through neurotransmitters and energetic impulses. It then gets filtered from the heart through the brain, and then it filters energy into a loving manner. It creates meaning for us, and it allows every single energy to be transformational promise in our lives if we let it be. Every thought becomes more loving, more grounded as it passes through the heart and into our more primitive center, into our higher brain centers, where we can draw conclusions based on the wisdom rising up from the gut, love in our heart, and becomes an intellect in our mind. This is how we're meant to be living. We develop smart ways to implement things into our life, ways to navigate. We choose things based on something that has great meaning to it, a greater life force to it. The journey from our head to our heart is important, but what makes it easier is the journey from the gut to the heart to the mind. If you want to be tapped into your intuition and you want to make it easier, breathe into your belly more than ever before. Breathe into your heart more than ever. So sit back into your spine, not just leaning back into your chair, but leaning back on the inside of your spine, as if you're living in the core of your body and you're leaning back against your spine. Your heart automatically begins to open and your gut feelings start to rise up into your heart to your mind. Allow this energy to rise up from your gut, your heart, and into your throat, and rise up into your brain, into your head. Allow it to give you the impressions to be trusted because you can feel them. Something you can go with that will allow you to create a value in your life that is a vibrational match to who you really are. And as you you are in touch with your intuition. It's that simple. It's so simple that the mind would never think it would be so simple, so automatic. It doesn't believe that it could be so automatic and so simple. It wants to complicate things. It wants to project our power outside of us. So let's just come home. They say that the journey from the head to the heart is hard. And it's only hard because we aren't tethered more deeply in our hearts and in our body, that we keep moving back into our heads all the time. So envision that you are anchoring yourself by contracting what we call the Mula Bandha. These are the pelvic floor muscles that stop the stream all at once. And you breathe into your belly at the same time. And that energy gets drawn down below the heart into your gut. And what begins to happen is that the journey from the head to the heart and the heart into the gut, and now the journey from the head to the heart and the heart to the gut has been carved. It's like this highway of energy, this highway of information. And if you find yourself living in your head, just take a big belly breath. Mula Bandha. Roll your shoulders back and down. Squeeze your blades gently together. And lean back against your own spine. And the entire central channel opens up. And this super highway for intuition. We want the intuition to be able to roll up and rise up through your consciousness. So take the time to breathe lovingly and compassionately with all that self becomes true. Your true spirit is a constant presence, and it is your true intuitive spiritual nature. It is an invisible present and intuitive knowing. This intuitive wisdom, it is the true you. You don't have to look out there to find what you want. You look simply in here. You come home now to breathe. Breathe compassionately and lovingly for yourself. Deep inside, you are in touch with the most intuitive aspect that is you. The combination of energies is all that you need to know that you know and trust what you feel. And when you are in touch with that, all that you engage with others is that you come to a place of knowing. You come home from a deep place of knowing and wisdom. Wisdom is the rising truth of you. It is the intuition at its finest. We must trust it and act upon it, and everything starts to change. Allow this to be your focus over the next day or two as you breathe into your belly, anchor your shoulder blades, drop down, open your heart, allowing compassion to be present for you. Know that you are by nature spiritual and intuitive, and at your very foundation, anything you want to share or project, you want to invent or ahas, come from that place of wholeness. The journey from your heart, and the heart is much easier when the heart is grounded into the deep intuitive wisdom. That is the truth of you. So using your intuition to clarify just baby steps. Intuition talks us through the subtle nuances, the nudges of what is the next best step. We have a bigger picture in mind, but just take it one step at a time. And take a breath in and exhale. Connect into that deep knowing that is you. Trust it to guide you because your intuition always has your back. It always tells the truth and is always there for the greatest good.